The truth of the matter is that whenever you're entering a period of time, so say it's an hour or a day or a month or a year, whenever you enter that period of time, if you don't go into it with a particular intention of some kind, then that period of time will just come and go by way of default, the way it did before. So this hour will be like the last hour. This year will be like the last year. Setting an intention is critical if we want to take a leadership position over the year. If we take a leadership position over the year, then it's like we set up a sort of grid work or a scaffolding over that year so that our unconscious mind is now looking in the right direction, and it will seek on your behalf in the background to fill in the year so that it unfolds the way that you've intended it to. This is the power of your intention. I've spoke a lot about the power of intention in the past 3 videos. So if you want to learn about how that works, then check those out, starting with, one of those 3. I forget the title, but in the last 3, we talk a lot about it there. Nevertheless, we're going to discuss in this video 10 intentions that you can choose from going into this year. I realize now we're about midway through January, and all of the fanfare that came with getting this new year underway is now waning, and now we're just back to regular life. Nevertheless, this can be an absolutely critical key moment for you, where if you were to choose one of these intentions and to commit to it, then this year can be different, and there's a reason to expect it to be different. So these are not your mom and pop resolutions like do 10 push-ups a day every day or read a book every week or whatever. These are actual themes that you may want to explore. And so then as I unravel these themes, as I unpack them, I'm going to talk to you about why they're important, how to decide if this is the appropriate one for you, what's the key mindset, what's the key affirmation that you're going to want to say and make native to your language, and then how to act on it practically speaking. So I'm going to do it for all 10. Finally, something that you need to know just as we jump into this list is that I'm going to give you sort of lofty kind of pie in the sky ideas where, I'm going to ask you to say things that will probably feel very foreign and alien to you. Like, for example, the first one is, I trust myself, I trust what I'm doing is working, and what I'm doing is right. And if you feel like you're lost in space, and if you feel like you're failing in life, then it'll be difficult to say these kinds of things because they'll feel so false for you. But the key to recognize is that we create with our language. We create with our intention and the intention behind our language. And so if we've been creating in a way that's not very intentional, then we'll be saying things and then watching them confirm themselves with our language, the way a belief can make itself to be true. So what we want to do is we want to exchange one belief for another. And if you happen to believe that you're a failure or you're lost or you have some sort of negative or unhelpful belief, all we need to do is just train you out of it and train you on the new one. And then we'll discuss how to do that as well. So this is something, so I'm going to invite you to shift into a vibration that's not very familiar to you now, but can become familiar to you if you choose. There's nothing stopping it from happening. So that's something to know as we go into this. So if we've never met before, my name is Brent. I am a productivity and self-actualization coach. If you are interested in getting the most out of this year and really implementing this and really making this into a completely new and different kind of year, then you may want to consider getting a one-on-one session with me. And then you'll see the links below on how to do that. Let us dive in. So, number 1, in no particular order, mastery of self-trust. So the invitation here is that the theme that you can choose, the intention that you can set, your New Year's resolution can be mastery of self-trust. This is for you if you struggle with making decisions. It's for you if you find that you are collecting too much data as opposed to experience. And what I mean by that is this. If you're an indecisive person, and if you're also sort of a collecting, hoarding style person, then what that will mean is that you feel nervous about making decisions that are permanent or difficult to reverse. And so instead of making these decisions, you'll be just constantly humming and hawing and evaluating pros and cons and going back and forth. And then as a result, collecting tons and tons of data around the decision, making certain like if-then trees. Well, if I do this, then can I do this? And then where will that end up? And then we just end up computing and crunching so much data that we end up in this murky soup. And we don't know what to do. It's impossible to choose because there's just too much data to work with. So if that's you, then what you'd want to learn, what you'd want to cultivate is self-trust. Trust where once you start hitting diminishing returns on the data of what to choose, should I go with this or that, then you just choose. And trust that you know how to choose. Trust that even if you chose wrong, you'll still be resourceful enough to figure out what to do from then. And trust that making a choice is almost always better than making the right choice. So once again, choosing at all is almost certainly better than choosing the right thing, especially if after a few moments of research, no right thing is emerging for you. So the affirmation in this case, if you were to choose this for yourself, would be to say, I trust myself, I trust what I'm doing is working, and what I'm doing is right. I trust myself, I trust what I'm doing is working, what I'm doing is right. And it means that you're getting on board with yourself, that the ideas that come to you, as they come to you, if you feel inspired by them, then you can trust them. And then like the sense of doubt can start to fall away over time. Your mindset is, so a question that you might ask yourself is, how would I conduct myself if I knew that all is quite well? How would I conduct myself in my life if I just knew everything's okay, everything's all right, I'm on track, I'm on course, all is well? Asking that of yourself, journaling it out, actually answering it, and getting into the detail of what that would be like. Because if you did, then you'd start training your mind on how to operate that way and bring this to life in your life. The actions then would be to practice to make a firm decision once the data starts hitting diminishing returns. So that's number one. Number two, acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. We can credit this to Eckhart Tolle in his book, A New Earth, where he was describing the energy that you'd want to bring to something that you're doing. So the energy you'd want to bring to a task that you have to do, or to your job, your work, your vocation, the stuff that you need to do to make money. This would be you if you struggle with your work, if you struggle getting yourself to do your work. So you're constantly overcoming yourself in order to get your work done. Also, if you feel entrapped by your work, like you just feel like you're in a prison with your work. The affirmation for you to say would be, I'm willing to do this, enjoy this, and drop my position against this. So let's say you have a job, and part of that job involves doing some sort of menial task that's so boring and kind of complicated, and you have to crunch a lot of data, and you're probably doing it wrong, and people get mad at you when you do it wrong, and it just leaves such a bitter taste in your mouth to do it. You don't like doing this job. So the problem with this kind of situation is that when we are unwilling to do something, then suffering is generated not only from that one task, but suffering is also generated from our unwillingness to do it. So it's made doubly bad. And so the lesson for you would be to reverse that unwillingness and turn it into a willingness. This isn't the same as liking it or wanting it, but it's a recognition that liking it or wanting it is irrelevant. Like if you have to do this task, it doesn't matter if you like it or want to do it. You have to do it anyway. It's either that or get fired. And so the one place where we have power, and this is how we move out of a victimized, trapped mindset and into a self-empowered one, is to say, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to do it. That's acceptance. And then from acceptance is enjoyment. And then we'd say, I'm willing to enjoy this. Now, it may be out of your experience. It may be way too far away from how you feel about this thing to even imagine enjoying it. It's like, there's no way I could enjoy taking out the garbage. There's nothing about it to enjoy, you might say. Nevertheless, by affirming out loud with your voice, I'm willing to enjoy this to the extent that it's possible. When we say that, then it gets the gears going. Do not underestimate the power of your creativity. If you make a choice such as this to say, I'm willing to enjoy this to the extent that I can, then your subconscious mind will begin to activate that and make that real in your experience. And so then finally, most importantly, we say, I'm willing to drop my position against this. So if you have a position against this work, like, I shouldn't have to do this. Why am I doing this? Somebody else should be doing this. I'm already doing too much. I should be doing something else with my life. Like, I shouldn't have to do this. is you having a position against this. And this position against it, again, is is a suffering generator, which we want to bring to a close. And so we drop our position against it by saying, this job is for me to do. This job is here for me to do, so I'm going to do it. I'm willing to do it. So the mindset is that any task and any job can be made into a flow state, including this one, whatever this is. And then the action is to slow down and meet the task where it is, to face the boredom of it directly with a willingness to be bored, a willingness to experience boredom. So again, if you feel trapped or victimized or powerless with your job and the work you have to do, then this will be a powerful, powerful practice and series of affirmations for you that will put you back in a place of power and creativity and flow. Do not underestimate this one. Number 3 is growth in consciousness. As a New Year's resolution, as a theme, you may choose to prioritize growth in consciousness. So this is for you if you're caught in a basic mode of psychological suffering, and it's for you if you're on the path of spiritual awakening. So if you're like me, where spiritual awakening is a massive priority, it's something that you wish to go as far as you possibly can and to become as conscious as you possibly can and discover the reality of the mystics and the sages whenever they speak about their experience of life and reality in the universe, then the recommendation for you is to bring your focus here and to create a practice, a ritual and a routine around it. The affirmation is that you would say, awake, I know that I'm awake. Being here, I know that I'm here. Doing this, whatever activity you're doing, I know that I'm doing this. This is an affirmation from Thich Nhat Hanh. And the subtle gift about this affirmation is that when you say, being here, I know that I'm here, you are affirming to yourself your own consciousness. You are acknowledging your consciousness. You are acknowledging that there is the thing that you're aware of, and that you are aware of the thing that you're aware of, which of course is to jump out 1 or 2 levels meta around the thing that you're aware of. It's to bring your attention from the content to the context that the content is in. Every time your attention goes to the context around the content that you were up until now focusing on, you invite in a greater degree of conscious awareness. Some people actually experience this as an opening up of their visual field, like looking through a fisheye lens. It actually can be as literal as that. But in a more subtle way, you are becoming aware of the thing that you're aware of, and every time you do that, then it allows you to disidentify from the thing that you're focused on and attune more to the subtle and subtler things around you. Continuing on this trend invites in more consciousness and brings in more of the benefits that come with that. The mindset that you might choose is, none of this is what I am, which is similar to the affirmation. It's like, you look at yourself, you consider your identity. Who am I? What am I? And then whatever comes as the answer to that question, you can look at that thing and then notice the paradox of how I think I'm this, but if this is this and I am I claiming to be this thing, then clearly there must be 2 things, not 1. And really, this thing can't be what I am because it's just a thing. It's just an object, and I am I. That up until now thought I was this thing. I had conflated myself with this thing that I'm looking at. This isn't what I am. None of this is what I am. And then, of course, the question can come in the positive form of, well, then what am I? And then that is for you to answer as you continue to strip away everything that is false about what you consider yourself to be. None of this is what I am. Notice the peace and the relief that comes about when you say this. The action for you would be to meditate daily, to create a meditation practice. This is a very important technique, not only to gain more consciousness, but it sugars everything else in your life that you do. It improves what you're doing. And it builds, it plugs nicely into cultivating flow. So number 3 is growth in consciousness. Number 4, a theme, a New Year's resolution that you may choose for yourself, an intention that you may plug into 2024, is mastery of self-support. Becoming masterful at self-supporting, at taking care of yourself, of getting your own needs met. Remember, when we use words like mastery, we do this because when you plug mastery into your unconscious mind, it already begins to seed the reality of that particular form of mastery, if you're just willing to reach for it. If you want to learn more about this very interesting and powerful concept of seeding new realities, then check my downloadable file on my website, brentheuris.com. It comes when you opt in with your email, and we go deep into this very interesting practice of seeding new realities. Nevertheless, number 4, mastery of self-support. So it's for you if you've never learned to value getting your needs met. It's for you if you feel like taking excellent care of yourself is beyond what you deserve. This, of course, being false. If anybody deserves to get their needs met, then of course you are no different. If you get your needs met, then you are taking care of one of the many aspects of the universe. And again, if a tree deserves to be watered, if a baby deserves to be fed, then you deserve to have your needs met, because we do not pick and choose amongst God's creations, to use this kind of phrase, who does and does not deserve to be fed, to have their needs met. One way that we deny ourselves a willingness to take care of ourselves is by claiming first world problems. It's like, oh, well, there's starving kids out there, so why should I complain about this, this, and that? And the truth is that you're probably not complaining. If you're worried about being somebody who whines or complains, then don't worry, that's not you. That which you claim to be whining and complaining is just a desire to get your needs met, which is something that is doable. It's something that you can choose. And nobody, anywhere, not even God, not nature, nobody, nothing, anywhere is served by you denying getting your own needs met. So that's what I have to say about that. The affirmation that you would choose is, I deserve world-class care, support, nurture, and love. I deserve world-class care. Lost my spot. Support, nurture, and love. Another one is, self-care is self-respect, and self-respect is wisdom. Because not only do you just deserve it, that's the first reason. The second reason is that when you do, then you become the strongest and most clear and wise version of yourself. You're able to just become a better version of yourself. And you can be more useful for the world if you become masterful at taking care of your needs. The action that would be associated, the mindset is, I deserve whatever I believe my loved ones deserve. And then the action is, set some excellent self-care routines into motion. You could ask yourself, for example, what could I do for myself that would signal that I'm willing to take excellent care? And that might be to schedule a massage. It might be to take a regular salt bath. It might be to feed yourself a delicious but very nutritious meal. It might mean taking yourself on a slightly longer than usual vacation. You'll know what it is. Good. Number 5, the end of conflict. A New Year's resolution that you can make for yourself this year is the end of conflict. Do you believe that this is possible? Because I do. For you, if you are constantly at war with yourself, with someone, or with something, or with all three, if you find that you're just constantly in conflict, constantly fighting, if you also feel like you're constantly getting worn down, so who out there is grating on you? Who's constantly wearing you down, and it just takes so much energy to recover from interacting with this person or with that thing? This would be for you. The affirmation that you would say, so here's what you would become part of your regular vocabulary. This is what I would have you say every day in the morning. I hereby allow all conflict in my life to dissolve and my perspective to expand. Now, why would we say this? Because dissolving conflict makes sense. But the truth is that whenever we're in conflict with something, then it means that it's me against this thing. Therefore, it's I versus the other, the foreign thing out there that I feel threatened by, and it feels threatened by me. And one must fully and completely vanquish the other in order for peace to reign. But the lesson, whenever it applies to conflict, is that whatever we're in conflict with is a disowned version of ourselves that we are unwilling to relate to, that we are unwilling to see ourselves in. If we're willing to recognize ourselves in that thing that we're against and trying to get rid of and trying, and we're right and it's wrong, then we would discover that this thing deserves love. It ought to be loved. And when we do, in that moment of recognition, conflict dissolves and unification takes place. And unification, not like you merge with this person in some weird way, but unification like, oh, right, like if I were you, if I were raised the way you were raised, if I had the life circumstances that you did, then I would be just like you. I'm not different from you. I was just my circumstances brought me to a different place than yours did, but we're ultimately the same thing. When you see that in somebody, how could you possibly be against them? You don't even have a choice about whether to forgive them or be forgiven by them. The forgiveness just blossoms in that moment of recognition. There's hardly an intention behind it. When you do this, all of the energy and mojo and personal resources that were gone to maintaining this conflict now can be reallocated to you to create something intentionally that will actually benefit humanity. 3 mindsets for the end of conflict. Number one is nothing valuable is achieved through conflict. Nothing valuable is achieved through conflict. Like if you compete in a sport, you win a trophy. So I guess, it's valuable in that sense, but it's different than from collaborating with somebody to create some sort of solution. It's a different form of value. Number 2, conflict indicates that something being rejected needs to be integrated. This was like the biggest lesson that I learned in one particular year. Whatever you reject out in the world is something you reject in yourself. Whatever you dislike or hate out in the world is something that you dislike or hate in yourself. Are you willing to hear that? If you're willing to hear it, and instead of like making that thing wrong out there, discovering the element of yourself that needs to be loved, your whole life will change. Everything will change. Mindset number 3. My perspective could stand to be opened. My perspective could stand to be, like if you say that, it's a statement of such maturity. Such maturity. My perspective could stand to be opened. It's a willingness to admit that I can't see the whole thing, that I don't know everything, that I need to see more clearly. And then finally, the action that you can take for the end of conflict is to list out major conflict in your life and then get to work ending it. And you do that by using these principles, mindsets, and affirmations that I was speaking about just now. If you need more direction than that, leave a comment and I'll answer more, but I think that should answer that. Good, we're halfway through. Are these interesting? I'm really enjoying these. These just flew out of me as I was writing them out. Number 6, a theme for 2024 for your consideration is bringing your creations to life. This is a gospel that I preach all day long. I've made countless videos about it. It is perhaps one of my highest values, bringing creation to life. So this is for you if you have an idea of something that you ought to do, begin, or create, but you're dragging your feet around it. You're just not doing it. You're waiting for the right time. You're waiting for the right circumstances. The affirmation then, of course, is my time is now. My time is now. Affirmation number 2 is my vision deserves to be created. So if you have a business, an idea, a book, a song, a project, an action, something that you feel like you can see in your imagination and you feel like kind of amazing when you think about it, that deserves to be created. It deserves to be brought into the world for your benefit, for its benefit, and for the benefit of the world. I place high importance and value on these incipient creations. The mindset is one day you'll die. So this is kind of how you want to orient your mind as you think about this. One day you'll die, and in those final moments, you will want to have really lived. So here's an example. My whole life, I've known that I wanted to be a spiritual teacher and a spiritual seeker. And I've been really dragging my feet around it because it just feels like a whole new leap of presence in the world beyond the coaching presence that I've become comfortable with. And I want to give live talks in my local community, and I've been researching it. I know the place I'm going to rent, and I know what I'm going to do, and I know I'm going to talk about. And then I sort of dragged my feet because I'm a little bit nervous. This is a new level of vulnerability for me. And so for me, the big thing for me this year is to take this leap and to make it happen and to give these talks. Because I know that if I'm about to die, if I'm on my deathbed and I haven't done it, I will feel regret. Not like regret is the worst thing in the entire world. It's fine. And then once you're dead, so who cares, right? But I will want to have really lived. I will want to have really gone for it. I will want to have taken a real chance, a real risk with the real possibility of embarrassment or failure. Because that's what it means to really live, is to play the game as if you're actually playing and not just trying to be safe with it all the time. The action is to clarify what the thing is, create a plan, act on the plan. Get ready for pushback. Get ready for the part of you that will attempt to talk you out of it, which it will do. Number 7. How are we doing for time? Good. Number 7, the creation of success. So not just the creation of some particular thing, but broadly the creation of success. So this would be for you if you're stuck, if you're floundering, if you're underperforming, if you feel like you're just capable of more and you're not doing it and you're lazy and you're just time's just passing by, then a theme for you might be to create success and to direct a conscious intention toward that very thing. The affirmation for you to say daily with your mouth or to write it with a pen or pencil is, I create success daily and I am successful. I am successful. And again, this is a seeding of new reality, because we don't say I'm going to get successful, I'm going to become successful, because now we're creating time as a gap between here and there. And what we want to do is we want to pierce through time and land our attention where we already have the thing, and then allow that transition to take place of its own accord. The mindset here is, I can become successful if I choose. And the second one is, I ought to be successful. It's worthwhile to become successful. I deserve to be successful, and successful is a worthy use of my time. So what I mean by this is, on one hand, if you feel like up until now you don't have what it takes to be successful, I hope you know that's obviously nonsense. You obviously do have what it takes to be successful if you're willing to apply yourself consistently toward it. On the other hand, if you're like me, then you've gone so deep into the spirituality rabbit hole that you've become, say, non-materialistic, and you're not concerned with these material things, and then you don't allow the creation of success to be important for you, which is also nonsense. Becoming successful is a human need, and it's a way to make yourself feel safe in this physical world while you explore all the other things you're here to explore. So do not overestimate its importance, nor should you underestimate its importance. It's important, period. The action, get your shit together. Watch some Jordan Peterson. This is where that man shines. He absolutely shines. His message is critical. Clean your goddamn room. Get your shit together. Get organized. Declutter. Create a plan. Get out of bed on time. Stop being on your phone so much. Set limits on how many games you're playing, how much Netflix you're watching. Curb your substance abuse. Stop drinking so much alcohol. Stop smoking so much weed. Get your shit together. Theme number 8. Master clarity, focus, and one-pointedness. So this is for you if you have ADHD, if you're scattered, if you don't have a single priority, if you generally feel detached from your purpose, or you don't know what you're doing in your life. So on the ADHD thing, your situation can vary in terms of levels of severity. And so this may or may not be something that you can willpower your way out of. And if you need the help of a physician, of a doctor, if you need the help of certain professionals to help you get into a one-pointed place in order to manage your ADHD, then it would be your responsibility to do that, to do whatever it takes to be able to master this element of your mind so that you can become focused and one-pointed. And for the rest of us, such as myself, who just over the course of our lives, we just had a hard time choosing something and focusing because you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet and everything looks tasty, and how on God's green earth do you choose just one plate full of things? Then this is for you. This would be your ideal New Year's resolution. The affirmation is, I know what I'm doing and how to do it. Another one is, I am focused and clear. Be willing to say that and practice what it feels like to already be focused and clear. The mindset is to set up your entire life to work on your behalf. Right, yes, so set up your, I was trying to remember what I meant. So in other words, set up your environment so that it works for you. Is your room messy? Then clean it up. Do you have too many things on the go? Then call it all down to a few things. Do you need more peace and quiet? Do you need sound paneling in your room? Do you need to change what kind of podcasts or music you listen to? So it's not just an internal thing, it's also an external thing. It's an environment thing. Your mindset ought to be your second one would be to become much more capable and powerful when you're able to give yourself a single outcome. So again, you become much more capable and powerful when you're able to give yourself a single outcome. One of my favorite things about watching James Bond, one of my favorite movie franchises, is that whenever he's doing something, there's a singular focus. It's always just one thing that he's doing, and he's able to give himself entirely to it. When you're in a position where you can give yourself entirely to one thing, then all sorts of creative, wonderful opportunity can come as a result. Learn how to choose something, learn how to become decisive. Number 9, mastery of integral thinking. So this is what I'm getting into lately, Ken Wilber's integral thinking and everything that's involved with it. It is absolutely fascinating. It represents a higher level of growth on many different levels. And not only that, but it gives very usable, understandable, comprehensive maps on what it means to grow and develop and become a fuller version of yourself. It is utterly, utterly fascinating, and there will be an integral element of all of my videos going forward, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. It's going to come into everything we do going forward. So this would be for you if you're interested in the highest available levels of human development. It would be for you if you've moved through modernist and postmodernist levels and you want to continue on your way up. It's for you if you're interested in holistic global healing, growth, and wellness. So you're interested in your own healing on a holistic level on all of your different elements, all your different aspects rather. And you're also interested in the healing of the population, of the world in a holistic way. The affirmation behind the mastery of integral thinking is everyone is right and everything belongs. Everyone is right, although not equally right, and everything belongs in its particular place. And it's just a question of where, not if. The mindset is that there's a place and a time for everything, just like grades 1 through 8. There's a time and a place for grade 1. There's a time and a place for grade 5. There's a time and a place for grade 8. Reality cannot and should not be collapsed into the subjective or the objective realms. So if you're one of these cold, hard rationalists where everything is just rocks and atoms and energy and there's no real any such thing as subjectivity, this is collapsing subjectivity into objectivity. But then conversely, to say that everything is subjectivity and that and objects are just dreams and figments of subjectivity and everything is ultimately subjective is overly reductionistic too. Stop collapsing one into the other. The third mindset is that optimal growth is the dual movement into emptiness and fullness, which is its own deep topic. And I spoke about it a lot in one of my videos on the creation of success. I will link that video in the earlier video below, so you know what I'm talking about. I forget the title of it just now. But the dual movement into emptiness, so discovering deep levels of emptiness in your consciousness, and then of course the fullness of learning and development and growth. The actions are to read Ken Wilber's stuff. Ken, K-E-N, Wilber, W-I-L-B-E-R. So the last one, number 10, mastery of love and heart-centeredness. So this would be for you if you struggle with issues of the heart, loving yourself, loving others, receiving or giving love. If you have sticking points around there, then this is for you. The mindset is that love, and I credit Matt Kahn with this, love is one of the highest and most masterful principles that we can give our attention to. To master love is to master healing, is to master life itself. Love is what we come into the world with and what we remember on our way out. Love is life's eternal liberator. All of these ideas I got from Matt Kahn. Love, especially for those of us who come at life from a masculine bent, love is the last thing that we consider. But a willingness to approach and integrate and cultivate love, to explore love, to be love, to move into love is just, it's the lubricant of life. It makes everything better, more colorful, more vibrant. It makes everything much more fulfilling. It puts you in a place of communion with life, as opposed to life being this problem that needs to be solved. Love is the source of great healing. Affirmations are, I love myself, I love you, I love this. Second affirmation, everything that arises, love that. That's the name of one of Matt Kahn's books. And the final action is to practice affirming love in your daily life. So again, you may be overwhelmed with choice at this point, but allow your intuition to guide you to one or two that strike you as an area that is the richest source of growth for you, where you find yourself now. You can always come back to this and choose a different one later, maybe next year. You can play with this in any way you want, because all of these things that I shared with you are just simply jumping off points. So you'll start with these affirmations, these mindsets, and these actions, and they'll start to create results for you. And then very quickly, you'll be able to form this into your own thing, your own sacred ritual. And then benefits will continue to accrue from there. As you practice these mindsets, you'll become so practiced on them that you will notice. It comes in the back door. It's never terribly overt. It's the sort of thing that you notice only when you look back upon it after the last 3 months or 6 months of like, wow, my life is transformed. There's more love. There's more success. There's more integral thinking. I'm more decisive. I'm more powerful. Whatever it is. So set the intention. There's always a reluctance to set and implement an intention, to commit to an intention, because there's this fear of what if I screw it up? What if I do it and then I fail to do it properly, because there would be a sense of disappointment around it. But then again, if we don't create an intention, if we don't commit to something, then nothing happens anyway. And you're capable of so much more than you realize, I promise, even if you believe you're capable of a lot. So I hope this helps. Sign up for my email newsletter, Get Seeding New Realities, if you haven't heard it already. It complements this beautifully. It'll be a guideline on how to implement any one of these 10. Get yourself a coaching session if you'd like some one-on-one help, one-on-one support. You can learn about that on my website as well. The link is below. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful new year. I love you.